Okay, I think we can start. How are you doing?
Okay, fine, great. How are you
That's awesome.
doing?
I'm doing very well. So I have with me from Beatman Herve and the ghost. Yeah, and you keep moving and disappearing behind the background. Thank you. So how about you introduce yourself? We have known each other for quite some time, so I think it would be great if you could tell us who you are, what you're doing, those sort of things.
Okay, I am Herve. I am the CEO of Beatman. Beatman is a software company that born in 2000. A company that builds software as a service for other clients and also own their own products. We develop few products all over the years. Our company is specialist in the application development, in native, iOS, Android, and hybrid application and complex system. We also provide AWS services. We are partners, technology partners of AWS. We started about 10 years ago. And we specialize in loyalty clubs, in fintech, marketplace, e-commerce system, and in the last 2 years also in the blockchain. And that's it. This is about a little bit about Beatman and about me.
Okay.
Okay. My name is Yaniv. I'm the CTO of Beatman for the last 3 years and developer here on the 7 years, I think.
Okay, that's awesome. It's rare to have such durations in company these days.
It's a great company to work in, so I didn't want to change.
That's awesome to hear. So let's talk about the reason why we are here, and you've been using RavenDB for a very long time. Can you tell me how you started? What were the reasons that you chose RavenDB over other options, and what the experience was like?
Yes, we discovered RavenDB. I think, I'm not sure because it was a long time ago. It was a version 1.0 or 2.0. I'm not sure about it. And we make some research to find a node document. We searched to develop a multi-tenancy product, CRM based on the cloud. And we test few databases, NoSQL. One of them was MongoDB. And one of them, we discovered it was RavenDB, as I said. And we really impressed because it was very, very, very easy to, first of all, to install to our system and to try to develop. So, and the performance was great, and it was very easy to develop with it. And that's how we start with RavenDB. And we also, after that, we developed a CMS that was based also on the RavenDB that serve more than 100, 200 project clients. And that's it. It was very, very easy for developer to integrate the RavenDB in the development environment. It was just focus, give the developer focus on the application, okay? They don't need to create a special query, involve a DBA, the programmer directly start, I call it plug and programs, plug and play, and really very starting.
So, by the way, I just checked the fourth record I have of you using RavenDB in production is from January 2012. So just over a decade ago.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
What version it was?
Sorry, again?
What is the version?
I don't actually know. Give me a second, I will check that. It's actually easier to go to Wikipedia and look the versions. That would be version 1.0 because we released 2.0 in January of 2030.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's that has been a journey. So you mentioned a few of the reasons why you looked into RavenDB, but when you compared, it's been a long time, I don't know if you recall it any longer, what was it like compared to the alternatives?
Compared it to MongoDB, right?
Yes, we compare to MongoDB. First of all, it was, I don't remember, but MongoDB have, I don't remember the name of the management they have there, but it was very complicated to, first of all, to develop with .NET. Okay, we start with .NET, ASP.NET. This is our developing language that we use, and it was not native. It was very, very complicated to integrate in our system. The performance was, I remember, you know what I remember, it was very not enough for us. And
okay. The fourth application used that was on a customer relation management system, CRM?
Yes, it was a small, for small business that first we developed for us, and after that it used for other clients all over the world.
Okay, and given the time frame, why use a document database in the first place? The natural reaction would be just use a relational database, no?
We use, yes, we use MySQL and SQL, but it's take time. It's take time to, let's start that we need a DBA for that, okay? We need to build the table and to create queries and views and store procedure and all this stuff. It's something that can take, I think, for a programmer, a few months to learn and be a specialist in a database. With NoSQL and / RavenDB, you know, it's a plug and play. You just install a package and create your models and start programming. You don't care about store procedure, insert. Okay, it's you even don't know that you have a database behind. So that's why it's very easy. We focus, our developer focus on the application and not on the right query and structure of the database.
Let me ask you this. Given that you have systems that are decade plus old, and you have a developer coming in and it needs to work on an application using RavenDB, what is the onboarding, getting familiar with like?
It's easier than SQL. It's really
Why
easy.
is that?
Just like Herve said, you don't need to really understand when we are hiring a junior developer, and we need to teach him how to work, to teach him about the project. If I'm going to spend my time to teach him about the SQL and the queries and everything behind it, I will really spend a lot of time not on the right place. I prefer to spend time teaching him about the flow and about the meaning of this program, because we have a lot of programs, a lot of customers, and each program is different from the other one. So for a junior developer to come to our company, and if I have 1 month to teach him about all the project that he will need to touch, need to develop hands-on, and then I will need to also teach him SQL. This is something that we couldn't do in 1 month. So RavenDB really make it simple for me to get the developer right into the code, and that's it. It's really easy for them to understand and to focus on the right thing, that this is the program.
Even the developer, I think, he even don't know that he have a database behind. Okay, it's really native for him. You know, it's just a NuGet, the RavenDB client, and just start get, insert, and that's it.
What about queries? Are you using Link?
Okay, so it's using LinkU.
And okay, so from their perspective, they are just working. So that's actually an interesting issue. In typical applications, if I'm going back to what used to be my bread and butter, I built database-driven applications in the 2005 onward. And one of the things that kept happening was that we spent a lot of time just massaging the data from the database to the user and back and forth. And that was at the time when we were working with an object relational mapper. And to get things working properly, we had to concern ourselves with how the database execute the code, how the queries, how do we render that if we have to pull data from multiple locations. Around that time frame, we also had the notion of domain-driven design, a huge amount of focus on modeling your system in a way that is appropriate to the business. Given your usage of RavenDB, how does it impact the modeling consideration that you have? And there I'm talking about the structure of documents, the structure of the objects in memory, those sort of things.
Okay, you handle it, right? Okay.
I'm handling the persistence. So, by the way, I'm not sure if this is the case, that I'm super happy that you aren't aware that this is a big problem, or interested what's going on. But let's talk about a customer in a CRM system. So we have a customer, and the customer have phone numbers, and they may have multiple phone numbers. In a relational database, you have the customers table and the customer phone numbers table, and you have to do a job between them with all of the associated costs around that. With RavenDB, it's just an array inside that.
Yes.
And you don't really think about any of that. That's easy.
Yes.
But it gets interesting when you start talking about, let's say that I have a customer and I have a customer's meeting. So I went and talked to this customer and I told him that I'm selling a great cup of coffee. So how would you model that? And again, going back to the relational model and the way that you would typically model that, you have a customer.meetings property where you would have all of the meetings. The problem with that, if you model something like that with RavenDB, that would be embedded inside the customer. So in that case, you're using a separate document to manage the meeting entity independent of the customer entity.
Right.
So how do you express those concepts to new people coming to RavenDB?
I will create, this is the point that we're going to create an index, I think. Or we use an automatic index that RavenDB creates for us, okay? Or we will create an index that supports our case, okay? And do the job, index multi-map reduce or standard index that merge our document, and if I compare this to SQL, okay, it's kind of view. It's a kind of view that I will create in SQL Server. Here I create an index. And for example, I will give you an example on our case today, as I don't know if I mentioned it, but we use a big marketplace here in Israel calling Yap. Okay, this marketplace give to seller upload their product and sell their product on the marketplace. So,
1 second. Yap or Zap?
Yap. Yap.
Okay.
Yap.
Okay.
Y-A-P.
Okay. Because Zap is also using RavenDB.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Well, so they're copy from us.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't know. Really, I didn't know that. It's internet, gold internet, internet Zahav.
Yes. I will send you a link. We had the interview with the CTO of Zap, dear God, several years ago. Dear God, that's a lot of time. And they are, never mind. We got into that later. We send the link on the chat so you can look at that later.
Okay. So this is the case that we start to create. We create index. The index, it's very easy to create. We create the index via the dashboard of RavenDB. In our case, I know that it's also possible to create on the code, behind the code, but we prefer to do this on the studio itself. And that's it. Then how you connect, you get your document. So instead get the document, you connect the index to get your data.
I find it fascinating that what I perceive to be a huge problem is just like not even there from your perspective. That's amazing.
I'll tell you my experience. As I said, I'm still an Android developer, and in the beginning, alongside with the developer, they gave me tasks, to understand if the post member is working and everything is working right. Post member to buy product, that the transaction is working. And I started to ask the backend developer, can you please check it? Can you please check it? Later on, they gave me the RavenDB. And alongside, I got the SQL also. And it was really easy for me to understand and to see the changes on RavenDB. And it was really difficult for me to see the changes in the SQL and to understand and to get the relations between this table and that table and to understand the whole picture, something that I just get inside the user in the RavenDB and I saw everything. It was like really simple, like reading a Word document against, I don't know, something really difficult.
The example.
Developer, what all of these tables. How do I understand that this transaction, it's my transaction, and what's going on over there?
The example that I like to give is that RavenDB is a Word document where you can put anything that you want, and a relational database is an Excel spreadsheet with many sheets inside of that. And finding the results is much easier if it's all in one place. That has led to the sad state of affair where my wife thinks that I'm working on 3D Excel because I cannot explain what I'm doing to her. We spoke a bit about development and onboarding, but there is also another really important aspect for a database, and that is how is it running in production. So I think that you're one of those people who have really the experience of seeing RavenDB mature over a significant period of time. Can you tell me about your experience of RavenDB in production?
Yes, yes. As I told before, we use the marketplace we developed 3 or 4 years ago, a Yap marketplace that use RavenDB. It started in RavenDB, I think it was a 3.5 version. It was on our, okay, I don't say that, but it was on our on-prem servers. So it was a little bit more complicated than today because we used to manage the server side, and if a new version come of RavenDB, so we need to upgrade it on our server. So you need a little bit IT experience to do that, and not simply programmer can go inside the machine and even if the instruction of RavenDB very clear, and I think in 6 steps you finish, you done with the upgrade. So we start in 3.5, and 1 years we meet RavenDB Cloud. I think it was 1 year, maybe more.
Maybe more.
Okay, we anyway wanted
to 5.2 on the cloud.
Yes, but we wanted to migrate Yap from 3.5 to 5 to version 5. Okay, I think it was a lot of changes there, and we also see that cloud exists. So RavenDB Cloud. So let's both of them.
Yeah, especially with your URL, which is yap.cloud.
Yes. Yes, exactly. So we create a migrate. It was about on and off months to do the job because we have a lot of indexes that need to change and a few changes that need to fit 5.0. And then we moved that to RavenDB Cloud, and if the programmer and our DevOps don't need to care about the server at all. So
I see that you're happy. It's good.
Yeah. You see that I have what?
Happy.
I'm look, in many respects, yes. Here's where it's frustrating. I have spent months and years working really hard to solve some problems. And on the one hand, I'm happy that you haven't encountered them. On the one hand, it's kind of annoying, I'm sorry, that you haven't seen the amount of work that went into not seeing all of those issues. It's funny because you know what, let me give you a great example. You mentioned transactions a few times. So whenever we have atomic transaction ahead from the get-go, how did that fact impact into your decision architecture in any way?
First of all, as I mentioned, Yap have 200,000 installed for today. Okay, we have over 10,000 of daily users that log into the website on the application. We have about more than 20 millions of documents, and everything run how we expected. Of course, if we're running some campaign or we have some spikes, so one click and we extend the instance via the RavenDB. This is something that was complicated when, not complicated, but you know, you need to, if you want to enlarge on-prem, you want to enlarge the machine, you have a problem. Okay, with Amazon now it's more easy, But now I'm not need to be what's happened with Amazon, the AWS, the machine. I'm caring about the region, okay? Where I want to serve my users, okay? But that's it. And,
so let me ask you this. You know that there is, I don't know, back to school, going to summer vacation now. So there's going to be a big sale on, I don't know, play tickets for some kid show. And you may be prepared for that in advance. You may be surprised that this is very popular thing. So you see that the amount of traffic that you have is spiking, and you see that the current instances that you have for RavenDB are struggling to keep the load. What is your response in this regard? What do? You go to the website and you said that you click on something? Can you explain to the audience what you're doing?
I understand. I go to the RavenDB studio and I extend the instance. This is what I did. Maybe you have something new that I'm not.
No, I'm talking about this because you're doing that when the system is live. What's the experience like?
A little bit an issue, but we have 3 nodes. So it should be an issue with that because the system continue to work even if you extend the instance. So
that particular feature, that one, 3 months. 3 months to make sure that everything works and you can just go and click the button on the website, and in 5 to 10 minutes you have more resources and you see the CPU drop, just drop and stay constant, and you can do that while under load. So I told you, it's gratifying to hear that and frustrating that you don't know the amount of work that it happened behind the scene. But that's good that you don't need to know that.
Something that I'm telling to all of our clients. The more the product is, the simpler the product is, the harder that we are working.
Complicated.
Yeah. The harder we are working with simple.
So yeah. So let's talk about your perspective on RavenDB, because you've been using that for such a long time. What do you think are the most valuable features that it had that are still valuable now, and what do you think are the most beneficial things from a perspective on the new versions?
Okay. First, how we use it. Okay, this is first. It's the ETL. ETL it's help us first of all to, if we want to transfer data from NoSQL from RavenDB to other relation database like SQL, or to data storage like Redshift. I think today you have the service that transfer data directly to Redshift, but I'm not. Okay.
We have OLAP ETL and we have SQL ETL.
Okay, today we transfer the data to MySQL, and then from there we stream the data into Redshift, and afterward to QuickSight and BI. To report, to analyze the data, for marketing, to create marketing automation. For example, if we like to marketing automation, we don't want to work on our real-time database. Okay, RavenDB. So we do this on the MySQL or other database. To not disturb our real-time database, and so we're using the ETL. The ETL very help us. It's work straightforward.
We are using the GUI for the ETL.
Yes.
To make the definitions, yeah.
It's easier than to do it by code.
Okay.
We use,
Yeah, go ahead, please.
We are using the full text search also.
yes.
Okay.
Geospatial queries, I think.
What are you doing with that?
In Yap Marketplace,
Mhm.
if the user wants to allow us to get his location, we are sorting the products from the nearest one to the farthest one.
And we make a radius, so he can sell his product. He can decide, okay, if he can sell his product in a 20 kilometer, 40 kilometer radius. So this is the index that RavenDB, the spatial index that RavenDB help us to use.
Okay. Okay, that's cool. That's really cool. So what are the features? So we spoke about some features about RavenDB, but can you tell me what features you think that we aren't talking about that you find useful or important?
You want to talk about the MapReduce?
No, this is the index. We use complex aggregation and MapReduce because we have a lot, for example, for create personalization for the user. So we use a document like tags and a product and members. So we create a complex aggregation and MapReduce to personalize users.
And we also want to, we are not using it right now, but it's something on our bucket list or on backlog, the concurrent subscription feature.
Okay, what would you use that for?
I think that we're gonna use it just an idea for now. If a member watch your product like 3 or 4 times or something like this, and then after a week or 2 weeks, you decided to lower the price for this product, I think that this will help me to notify the member that the product that he watched has a lower price tag now. Maybe this is a good time for him to buy this product.
Okay.
It's just, you know,
Yap also use as a marketplace and let the seller to manage some like a loyalty club, okay, manage their buyer and be in touch with them. So, or as Yaniv said, so if the seller, for example, upload a new product, so we like to notify the buyer that's following after this seller. If and he said the lower price, and we like also to notify a buyer that was interested in this product.
Or something in this category. Like, I don't know, your phone broke, and then you started to look for phones, and then Herve decided to post his phone for sale, to sell his phone, and it's, I don't know, 200 meters from you. I will let you know. I will
okay.
To make you know that and product in the category or that we are tagging this product with the same specific tag, and I see that you are looking for this kind of product, I will let you know.
Okay. Some of the other features that RavenDB has, so we store documents, but we also have this notion of counters and time series and binary attachments. Are you making any use of that?
I think so.
No.
Okay. And so what about in terms of the client API? So you're primarily a .NET shop and work in C#. There are features in the client API such as including related results or using lazy queries. Are you using those?
Of course. The include it's a great feature that we use it. For example, if I
Can
like
you expand in your words what it is? Yeah.
in my word, okay.
Yeah.
If I like to related another document of one document, I will not doing a two trip to the server. I will create one trip. Okay, I will bring, for example, I will bring a product, and I also want to bring the member of the product. So I will include the member ID and let the RavenDB to do the job and bring also the document of the member. And when I query after that, I load the member, it will not create a trip to the server. This is what I think how it's work. And the client, the RavenDB client, do the job behind the scene. It will bring me the document.
Okay, that's awesome. So let's talk about, you mentioned that you want to use concurrent subscriptions. Are there any other features that you want to use in the future, or are there any features that we don't have that you think would be nice to have?
I will say something, but maybe it will be complicated to create it. But we use in some case we use DynamoDB. Okay, DynamoDB, the DynamoDB, and sometimes we use also Aurora serverless, and just for one reason that it's serverless. And never mind where you go to the you make a query, it will make the query to close where you are. In this case, DynamoDB do the job, but they have all the negative like query data and make index and all this stuff. It's very, very, very complicated. So it's good for logs, for manage maybe session, big data like that in DynamoDB, but something that will be great, I think, it's serverless. Now that I don't need to think about the region where I want to be. Okay, today when I create an instance, so okay, I will serve my user here in Israel, or I will serve my user in Europe. So I will select the correct region. So I think it's something that for project, of course, that should. I know that RavenDB also we can create few instances and use the ETL to sync our database in other region, but serverless can solve a lot of things.
So the scenario that you described, that you have a database at bitman.ravendb.cloud, and when you access that, you have access to the nearest region that you want, and the data is transparently synchronized between everything. That you use the term ETL, and I don't think that's the right term here. The appropriate way would be to say, okay, I'm deploying into a multi-region setup where I have a let's say node in Europe, in the state in Asia, and I'm setting up replication between them. So all of the data is always kept in sync. When I'm making a query, I would use the local node, the nearest one that I have, and I would operate on that. The primary issue in something like that is actually relating to writes. So if I have multiple environments in physically separate locations, then how do I handle a write that may modify the same document in both places at the same time? We actually have solutions for that. We have custom write transaction, which allows you to do that, but The problem is that it is really hard to give you a coherent.
Right.
No. Coherent right is actually easy. The problem is how do you give a complete solution without giving you way too many details on what is actually going behind the scenes. So to give you a good example, in the context of a marketplace, I'm assuming that the vast majority of your operations are reads. So you can actually set things up in such a way that you would say, okay, I have one copy of the database here, one copy of the database here, and they're replicated with one another. But I'm only going to make changes here. And why is that? Because then you get better consistency model that this is where I'm doing all of my changes. The downside is that this may be somewhat delayed, typically by a few milliseconds, but in some cases this is important. With Aurora, you have the ability to do that, but the problem is that you have read replicas in the other regions. And it's a non-trivial thing to solve. And we have the baseline components to do that. The actual issue is that I don't have a good no-nonsense setup that I can give you that you wouldn't have to think about it because of issues with consistencies and data propagation over geographical locations. So that's something that I think that we still need to have the architect make those determinations.
Our architect or your architect?
Sorry again?
Our architect or your architect?
Well, our architect can make decisions for you. I'm not sure if that would be the best option for your scenarios. That's the issue.
So maybe on Raven 5.4.
Well, that ship has sailed. I think we have just a few more weeks before it actually goes out. So I don't think that we will do it there. But that's certainly something that we want to do more of. And the more, it's funny, the more that we take on ourselves in managing the database and its environment, the more we find users who, oh yeah, it's there, we just use it to move on and don't really think about that. Okay, I think we are nearing the end of our time. So what's the future for you? What sort of project do you look at and say, oh, this is great for RavenDB, and what do you think is going to be in the future from your perspective?
So just start a new project in the blockchain domain, and we thought about using QLDB, but of AWS, but we found that it will take a lot of time to implement and to integrate, and we decide to using RavenDB with that project. And first of all, because the security of the project, and I think that cloud RavenDB we're using the security of the cloud of RavenDB, so it solves us a lot of things. And we just start with the project, and I think it's very, we work on the project about a month, and we already implement almost the dashboard of the client, the development. So I think it's
Also the API.
also the API, of course. So very fast to integrate with
And also one feature that we are still not using, but I think that we're going to use in this project is the Elasticsearch also.
The ETL to Elastic?
Yes.
Okay. What is your usage scenario for that?
I think it will be easier for us to manage the search and also less thinking about it and faster development. I need to see the pricing for this and if it's going to be.
Yeah, because the Elasticsearch it's expensive on AWS, so we need to think about it.
Yeah, if it's an issue, you might want to use the RavenDB search directly because it has most of those capabilities already built in.
Yes, we use it. We use it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, I think that's all my questions. Thank you very much for the conversations. Anything else to say?
I hope not in 10 years, maybe in
Keep the great work.
Oh yes,
Thank you.
another thing that's very important, and I don't remember in the last 10 years that or my team or we send an email to the support and it's take more than 4 hours. I don't know if it's good for you or not good for you, but to get a response for the support directly. I don't remember that it's take more than 4 hours.
I can tell you that about support, whatever this is good or bad. When we structure the company, there is a Conway's law that says that the structure of a software project mirrors the structure of the organization that builds it. And when I looked into the way that we build RavenDB, one of the things that we did, we put support in the part that costs money. So this is a call center. It's not meant to bring us revenue. And the reason for that was very simple. I wanted to structure things in such a way that the financial incentive on my part is that support is handled as quickly and efficiently as possible. So the end result of the product is going to push us to be ever better. And this has been, 12 years that RavenDB has been in the market, and I think that more than 18 else had a fundamental impact on the way that we build things, just because of that decision.
Great. Another thing, we don't develop only on with .NET. We also use months ago Python, and I think it's very easy to integrate Raven clients in Python and use it. So
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you again, and hope to talk to you soon. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you.